What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another live post-game show here on Show Me Football. My name is Josh Fan, of course, of ShowMeFootball.com and ArrowheadAddict.com. Tonight, I am joined by none other than Michael Darcy of KC Sports Report and Bleacher Report. Welcome in, Michael, because we got a lot to talk about tonight, and we're here to break down another horrendous, embarrassing, but not totally surprising Kansas City Chiefs loss to the Green Bay Packers on Sunday Night Football. The Chiefs fall to the Packers by a final score of 27-19. And not too many good things to say about this one, Michael. I have a lot to say, like I said, but I'm going to let you go first. I know you said before we started that you're ready to explode, so go ahead and let it out, man, and then I'll give my piece.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's officially over. It's panic time. Panic time should have been a long time ago, but this game was a microcosm of what the 2023 Kansas City Chiefs have been. And that's a bad football team offensively. The Kansas City Chiefs are not going anywhere if this is what we are going to see on a weekly basis. I'm tired of saying that we're going to see an improvement when week after week we have seen nothing to believe that that's ever going to come. The Chiefs lost this game. I know a lot of Chiefs fans are going to blame the refs for a really bad no PI call. It was one of the worst no PI calls I've ever seen on MVS. That's blatant. But as I just said on the Bleacher Report postgame show, there is no telling whether or not the Chiefs even capitalize if that gets called, because the offense was so fucking bad. They've always been bad. And so that's why I think that it's hard for me to even be upset with the officiating, because it was so bad for both teams tonight that, what am I supposed to say? We probably weren't going to capitalize. And if by some miracle we do get a touchdown, you think they're going to get the 2-point conversion? We saw early on in the game they couldn't convert on a 2-point conversion.
Yeah,
go ahead.
That's what I was going to add. It's like a lot had to have happened. Even if they get that penalty called, they would have had to score and then get the 2-point conversion. And I'm not confident that either would have happened.
Absolutely not. They have not shown this game or this season that was ever going to happen. And so, at a certain point, I've been insane. I've been saying the same thing week after week, that we're going to see an improvement. We're going to see a change. There is no change coming. It's just not going to happen. The Chiefs don't have any options that they haven't tried to exhaust yet. It's over. It's panic time. I'm not saying the Chiefs are completely cooked, but right now, this is a wild card exit team. They're not playing good football. You can't beat the Raiders handily and expect everything to be okay. The Packers are not a bad football team. Their record might not show it, but they're a pretty good, well-coached football team with a young quarterback in Jordan Love that can sling it. And so when you go on the road, you have to show up. And the Chiefs offense, like it has done all season long, lays a big egg when we need them to be great. And so, yeah, it's just so frustrating. I thought that, if it wasn't Isaiah Pacheco or Rashee Rice, I guess Travis Kelce had a pretty good game too, but if it wasn't those guys, it just wasn't going to happen. And that's what it's been like for the past couple of weeks. But one thing that I will say, the most frustrating thing for me, Patrick Mahomes was sacked 3 times in the red zone in the first half. That statistic is why you lost this football game. You score on one of those plays that resulted in a sack, you probably win this game. The 3 red zone sacks, I know Wanya Morris came in for an injured left tackle, but there is no excuse for the sacks given up, and that's why the Chiefs lost this game. So I hope they watched that on the tape, because they were moving the ball offensively all right, and when they came to the red zone, the offensive line crumbled, and that's why they lost this football game.
Yeah, folks, I should have said this at the beginning, but just a little bit of a warning. There will be some swearing on this episode tonight. I know Michael already let one out. I'm probably going to let a couple out, but it is week 12. Week 12. It is Christmas time. It is December. The bye week has already come and gone. Week fucking 12. It is these same problems, these same things that we said after week 1 against the Detroit Lions, Michael, we are still saying in week 12 of the 2023 Kansas City Chiefs season. I already said in our last Kingdom Crew episode, I'm pushing the panic button on this offense, on this wide receiver group. Then they went out there and they had a good game against the Raiders. But even after that game, I said, one game is not going to have me convinced that everything is fixed, especially not against a team that fired their head coach this year in the middle of the season. Like, that's not going to have me convinced that everything is fixed. And sure enough, they go back to their old ways tonight. What have I said for several weeks now? 24 points is the magic number for this team. Most of the time, if they're putting up 24 points, they're going to win. Now, I know the Packers scored 27 tonight, but you even were talking about how if you convert on any of those red zone attempts, then you probably only need a field goal to win the game or tie or win the game there at the end. So you're not having to drive down the field. And then that penalty that got called on the hit on Mahomes, and I know really it should not have been called, but like had that happened, a couple more chunk plays, you're kicking a field goal, and then who knows what happens. It's the same issues every single week with this team. The wide receivers suck. Nobody else besides Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice can do anything. Stop targeting Sky Moore. He is a bum. He is a bust. He is shit. Like, anytime you target him, just good things don't really tend to happen. I think he had like one catch for 4 yards tonight or something like that. And then Mahomes goes at him I think it was like a slot fade or something like that. And it was not a great throw by Mahomes, but Sky quit on the route. That's why it got picked off, is because Sky Moore quit on the route and then had no chance at the ball. And so it allowed an easy interception for the defender. So, I mean, I just don't even know what to say anymore. I sound like a broken record. This offense is not good enough. This team will get blasted in the postseason when they face a real offense, because anytime this team goes up against someone with a pulse, they struggle to crack 20 points. It's just that's how it's been all season long. And Green Bay even is not great. Like, I say, a team with a pulse. Green Bay had a losing record coming into this game. Like, I know Jordan Love's been on a little bit of a heater and everything like that, but they were without Jair Alexander. They were without Aaron Jones. This is a team that is down right now. And you lost to you cannot be losing to the Green Bay Packers this late in the season. Like, if this loss happened in week 4, okay, whatever, I get it. You can kind of explain that away, just like the Lions loss. There's no more excuses for this team. Like, this shit is it's pathetic at this point. I don't know what else to say. This offense it's not good enough. It's not getting it done. The turnovers are one thing. They've got to stop. Patrick Mahomes has to stop throwing interceptions. That's a huge issue, but nobody's getting open. Like, even on a couple of the sacks tonight, just nobody was open. Patrick Mahomes had sufficient time. There was just no open target, and that's just a theme that's been far too common this year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about the wide receivers because we have to talk about the wide receivers. The wide receivers are always the problem. They always will be the problem, too. This offense is not good because of your wide receiver core, which is the worst in the NFL.
By far.
Point blank. Like, it's not close. And it's frustrating because I feel like every week it's the same thing. It's the only problem, too. Like, right now, you have, let's say, 1 or 2 guys in this wide receiver core that are competent and playmakers. The Chiefs are by far and away the best team in the AFC, probably the NFL. But since your wide receiver core has regressed drastically from last season, you are a complete shell offensively of what you were. And I was talking about this on the post-game show. Statistically speaking, the Chiefs offense might be top 10. That is not a top 10 offensive unit. I don't care what anybody says. That offense is not good.
No, yeah, because, again, it's a struggle for them to crack 20 points. The Chiefs have lost the 1 seed to this point, I believe. I don't think they lost any ground in the AFC West, really, because the Broncos also lost today. The Chargers are already out of it. There's no way they come back. Raiders, no, there's no way. And this team will get to the playoffs mostly because this division is an absolute pile of crap. But I don't know how you could pick this team to go far in the postseason. But the 1 seed is out of your control right now, because the Ravens, I believe, have the 1 seed at the moment, and they're actually taking care of business and winning the games that are in front of them on their schedule. But at this point, in order for the Chiefs to even get the 1 seed, you're going to have to hope someone screws up along the way, like the Ravens. And I think Miami might even have it over them now. I would have to go back and look, but
I think Miami's 1 and Baltimore's 2 and we're 3. But after losing, I don't know where we are. We might not even be 3. I will say the only good thing about this loss is that it was another NFC loss. And so you have
Yeah.
3 NFC losses and only 1 AFC loss. But man, it's just like the Chiefs did this in the year that they lost the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. They had a chance with like 4 games left, or maybe it was a couple games left on their schedule, to take care of business and control their own destiny, and they choked. And right now, this Chiefs team is choking. They controlled their own destiny. They had a pretty easy schedule remaining. I'm not saying the Packers is an easy game. You should not have lost this football game. There is no excuse for that. You play even a B game offensively, and you win. Like I think you win fairly easily. And so it's frustrating because, man, yet again, the Chiefs are not taking care of their own business because they had their own destiny in the palm of their hands, and right now they're just giving it away.
Yeah, at this point, they have to hope someone loses. One of the Dolphins or Ravens. They're both going to have to lose a game, I believe. And then you can, like, there's still a chance at the 1 seed, but you're going to have to win out now. Like, you have to win out. There is no margin for error. The margin for error is gone. You have to beat the Bills next Sunday. You got to go and beat the Patriots, beat the Raiders, beat the Bengals, beat the Chargers. Now, that's actually a fairly favorable schedule down the stretch, but I don't know if this team can beat the Bills and the Chargers for a second time. I don't know. Anything could happen. Like with the way that this offense is playing, I don't know, man. I don't know. And people will complain about the refs tonight. The refs were not great. You mentioned the MVS pass interference. Like that one was awful, but that was really a makeup call or a makeup non-call because of the fact that the refs gave the Chiefs a free 15 yards on that Mahomes hit when he was still in bounds. But this team just continues to shoot itself in the foot. The defense made several clutch stops in the second half, and the offense turned around and did nothing with it. Like the Chiefs had way too many opportunities to win this game and just didn't. Like I have a hard time blaming the defense. They were not great tonight. Don't get me wrong, but injuries were a big part of it. Brian Cook also went down with a very ugly ankle injury.
Yeah.
I'd be kind of surprised if he wasn't out for the rest of the year after that. I mean, his ankle turned the wrong way. Like it took like a 45-degree angle from where it should be sitting. So I don't know about Brian Cook, but I know the defense had some injuries tonight for sure. That had an impact, but they came up with plenty of stops in the second half, and the Chiefs just failed on offense again. Like there was a point where I think the Chiefs were able to force a punt from Green Bay. They got to stop, and then the Chiefs turned around and went 3 and out. You can't do it. You can't do it and expect to win. You cannot put up 19 points with a Patrick Mahomes led team and think that's good enough to win games because it's not. And I can't believe this was the plan on offense, man. I can't believe this was what the plan was at wide receiver and at pass catcher, relying on a 34-year-old Travis Kelce, who, by the way, was out partying on a Friday night before a big road game. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but I certainly like most of the time I'm all for like letting the players do what they want in their free time, but something just didn't sit right with me about that, seeing that Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes and Brittany and Taylor Swift were all, getting effed up on a Friday night the weekend before a big road game, a must-win road game, honestly.
Yeah, it's not a good look. And honestly, I haven't really been one of those Chiefs fans that complain that Travis Kelce's dating Taylor Swift because she's quote unquote distracting him. I don't think that's the case. But partying on a Friday before a giant game, prime time on Sunday, is a horrible look. But honestly, if I'm Travis Kelce, listen, he hasn't played like the Travis Kelce that he's been in years prior, but what more do you want him to do? He's 34 years old. He can't carry the load like he usually could. And it's not his fault that the offense sucks. It's not Patrick Mahomes' fault that the offense sucks. So like, if I'm Travis and someone came up to me and was like, hey, why are you doing that? It's like, well, what do you want me to do? Like, you can't rely on Travis Kelce to solve all of your problems. And honestly, I genuinely wonder if this might be Travis Kelce's last season. I know that sounds crazy. And
Yeah,
I
I mean, no,
think
it doesn't sound crazy because he's talked about it.
he's talked about it. And man, like, let's be honest, he's 34 years old. He's making more money speaking into one of these microphones than he probably ever thought was possible. and it's a lot more comfortable. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings. Why go back out there, especially when your offense sucks?
Well, and let's talk about that too, the talking into the microphone, because that's all this team can do. And that's all this team does after a loss and after the offense goes out there and has a dog shit performance. They get on the mic. Travis Kelce goes on New Heights and he's like, we'll get it figured out. I believe in this team. We're going to get it figured out, guys. We have too much talent to be this bad. I've been saying that since week 1. Like, at this point, it's all team speak to me. It's all player speak and coach speak. Like, I don't see it with this offense. I don't know how you could. And also, Isaiah Pacheco. I am pissed off at what he did at the end of that game to get a 15-yard penalty and start a fight and punch a guy in the face with the game on the line. Like, I get Pacheco's a fiery dude. Sometimes you get caught up in the moment. Fights happen. But with the game on the line like that, 15 yards was gifted to the Chiefs by the referees, and then Pacheco just took them right back. And any chance the Chiefs had of winning that game kind of went out the window as soon as Pacheco got that penalty. And then he got kicked out of the game too. Yeah. And I'm sure he'll be subject to a fine or something by the NFL after that. So the hits will keep coming for Isaiah Pacheco. But complete lack of discipline to have him do that with the game on the line.
The lack of discipline is all over the football field. And that is so crazy because Andy Reid has always been Mr. Nice Guy, and his players love playing for him because he's such a great coach, and he doesn't have to discipline guys that normal coaches do because they just want to play for Andy, and he's the nice guy. Andy's got to put his foot down. This offense is undisciplined. Chris Collinsworth talked about it on the broadcast. There was multiple players in motion at one point. You can't have that. We're in week 12. 12! And we're having the same problems that we had in week 1. That's not growth. And if I'm Andy Reid, I'm coming into the office tomorrow and I'm like, hey guys, what's going on? We're running suicides. We have to discipline these guys for just being undisciplined.
Wasting a year of Patrick Mahomes' prime is not something that I truly thought this organization was going to do this year, but it looks like that's what they're doing. And then, like, I'm scrolling through Twitter right now. Travis Kelce saying, I'm not going to blame this on anybody but ourselves. Andy Reid says we got to learn to start fast and get rid of penalties. It's the same shit every week. And like you said, it's week 12. Like, the bye week has already happened. They came out of the bye week and they lost, and it was the same problems. And then, for the longest time, the problem was they couldn't score touchdowns in the second half. Tonight, they couldn't score touchdowns in the first half. They can never play a complete game on offense. They can never find a rhythm. They had one lucky game against the Raiders where it looked like they had the offense figured out. Nah, no one's buying that anymore. And Brett Veach, just a failure not to get a veteran. And he had several opportunities to, whether it was over the offseason and free agency or the draft. He could have doubled down. He could have acquired a veteran. He could have done something at the deadline. It just kind of feels like he chose not to. And now it's coming back to bite the Chiefs in the ass because I don't think this is fixable. I talked about this with you, Michael, and Kingdom Crew last week about how I don't think it's fixable, and that's why I'm pushing the panic button with this team and this wide receiver room, is because this doesn't feel fixable. I don't think the answer to the wide receiver room or the answer to this offense is on the team this year. I think this is what it is. Like, this is what the offense is for this year, and for the Chiefs to win in the postseason, you're just going to have to hope the hell that the defense can hold the other team. Sorry, I can't talk. You're going to have to hope that they can hold the other team to, like, I don't know, 13 points or something, because otherwise it doesn't feel like this team can win a postseason game. Not with this offense. No way in hell.
No. Listen, you can't have the worst wide receiver core in football, be undisciplined, turn the ball over, and make mental mistakes all at the same time. You can't do it and overcome it. The Chiefs are cooked. Man, this offense is cooked. This is what it has been. I've tried to stay optimistic and tried to be, tried to be a light in this darkness that we're going through, and just trying to say that it could be okay. Maybe they can get through it. They're not going to get through it. Like, it sucks because we have so much football, even in the regular season, left to be played, and I just don't think that this team is good enough. Honestly, and someone mentioned it earlier, to waste a year of Patrick Mahomes' prime with this defense is absolutely sickening. Sickening. The fact that you have this defense, which is top 3 in the NFL, and the best quarterback on the planet, an aging Travis Kelce, who knows how many years he has left, you're wasting that. And all you had to do was pick up maybe one guy. One guy could maybe change the trajectory of this wide receiver core. And it's frustrating, man. This is what this offense is going to be. Maybe they get lucky and squeak out a wild card win against like a Houston Texans team or a Denver Broncos team. But man, why would I believe that? And with the injuries compiling on the defensive side of the ball, Brian Cook with that ankle injury, Drew Tranquill with a concussion most likely, Nick Bolton's still out. Injuries are all over the place. So why should I sit here on this live stream right now and be optimistic about the future of this team?
Yeah, and I want to bring up this comment from Nathan Barnes because he makes a really good point. He says, hate to say it, but we miss that aspect of the enemy, not from a scheme perspective, which I agree with, because I don't think it's Nagy. I don't think Nagy can make chicken salad out of chicken shit with this wide receiver room and this offense. But what Nathan says, being a hard-nosed coach that would get after the guys, I definitely agree with that. I think the enemy was that type of guy. If you ever heard him on a mic'd up or heard him in press conferences, there were reports out of Washington this season that players were like, what's the word? They were like uncomfortable with Eric Bieniemy's coaching style because of how much he got in their faces and how hard his coaching style was. And now you've kind of seen Washington make strides on offense this year, and now they're starting to feel like, hey, Eric Bieniemy, all that stuff that he was saying to us over the offseason, that's made us the offense that we are now, and they're starting to buy into Eric Bieniemy's coaching style. And I think, the Chiefs definitely do miss a little bit of that because we know Andy Reid's a player's coach. He's not a disciplined guy. He's really not. You won't see him get all that angry. He doesn't really hold his teams accountable all that much. And I hate to say that. Andy Reid's a great coach, but one of his biggest weaknesses is he's too much of a nice guy.
Yeah, we can't have that nice guy anymore. That's why the Chiefs are struggling. And at a certain point, guys, you kind of just have to accept the fate of this team. And it sucks because with Patrick Mahomes, you're genuinely a Super Bowl contender while he's on the football field. And they still are in this AFC that is wide open, and there's been injuries and whatnot. But when you see how this team performs, especially in the big games when the lights are the brightest, it seems like they back away and they shy away and they lose. And that's not a good omen of the future. And so, we can't look ahead too much into the offseason right now because we still have a lot of football to be played. But I think if you watch this team, the injuries, the offensive struggles, the wide receiver core not improving whatsoever, the flashes that we've seen haven't been bright enough. And just what we've seen over the course of the last 12 weeks has been not even mediocrity, poverty. We've seen a poverty wide receiver core. We've seen a poverty offensive attack, and it's why the Chiefs no longer hold the 1 seed in the AFC. And can they get it back? Yeah, they can.
There's been zero growth, like at all, from week 1 to week 12. Zero growth.
None. And I think that's a great point, and I'll let you talk here in a second. The fact that there is no growth is why we should all be concerned.
Yeah, and scrolling through Twitter, I saw a great tweet from at Kevo Bevo. He says the defense couldn't afford to regress because the offense has no margin for error, and it's finally happening. Could not agree more. You were asking this defense to pitch a shutout every single game in order to win, and now you're not getting those shutout defensive performances and keeping teams out of the end zone all night. And the offense can't overcome that. Like when this defense starts to fold just a little bit, the offense just doesn't have enough to overcome that. And that is a far cry from the Chiefs teams of the past where it's like the defense was terrible and they needed the offense to bail them out. The defense is begging the offense to score points. I can't believe this is where we are. And it's embarrassing, and it's a failure. It's a failure all around. I do have something that I want to say defensively, though. So I said earlier that I have a hard time blaming the defense for tonight's loss. because I thought they did more than enough to win this game. But they could not stop the run. A.J. Dillon ran all over them tonight. It just seems like they could not stop him. That is where you miss Nick Bolton, because I am so damn tired of everyone saying that this team doesn't need Nick Bolton, or people trashing Bolton on Twitter. I don't know how much you see that, Michael, but I know I certainly see it on my timeline. People saying that the defense is better without Bolton, and Drew Tranquill's like an upgrade, even though it's not one or the other. Like Tranquill and Bolton can both be on the field at the same time. But people forget that even before Drew Tranquill went out with an injury in this game, they were getting gashed against the run. That is where you miss Nick Bolton. This defense is very good, but it still misses Nick Bolton. And tonight was an example of that. I think that the run defense is a lot stronger if you have Nick Bolton stopping those A.J. Dillon inside runs instead of Drew Tranquill and a bunch of ragtag guys like, what was it? Jack Cochran.
Jack Cochran.
Yeah. I mean, God. Yeah, that's bad.
I mean, yeah, you can't stop the run when your linebackers are out. Willie Gay was the only starting linebacker that was able to play after Tranquill got hurt. I know you said even before Tranquill went out, they were still not stopping the run. It definitely got a lot worse very quickly. Jack Cochran is not a guy that you can have as the anchor, the green dot for your defense.
The defensive line also was getting blown off the ball as well. I don't know if you noticed that tonight, but
yeah,
Derek Nottie too. Derek Nottie, the entire reason he's on this roster is to stop the run, and he can't stop the run. So why is he on the team? And I don't know if you saw the PFF grades tonight when they announced the starting lineups on the bottom of the screen. Derek Nottie was dead last in PFF grade among defensive tackles. Dead last. And I know PFF grades aren't gospel, but that reminded me of a few years ago when Frank Clark was like 97 out of 100 or something like that. It's like, why is this dude out there?
Just doesn't make sense. And yeah, the defense did struggle at times, but man, we've seen really bad. We've seen really bad defenses in Kansas City, and we've been very critical of them in the past. They made a couple stops in the second half that you should have capitalized on, and you would have won this football game. You can't blame the defense. 27 points on the road in Lambeau Field. You should have won this game. You can't blame the defense. Your offense had a chance, and they shit the bed.
Yeah, plain and simple. And it's like there's not even much more to analyze other than that. It's like the wide receivers suck. The offense sucks. They can't break 20 points. They look terrible against any team with a pulse. That's what it is. I don't know what else I have to say.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I mean, I feel like there is really nothing more that we can say. It's been the same thing all year. This was maybe the most telling, I guess you could say. Like, it kind of felt like the world was ending, and I think the injuries defensively is why it felt that way, because, you know, usually when the Chiefs offense was sputtering, the Chiefs defense was there to kind of, you know, fix and mask some of those shortcomings offensively. When the defense struggled tonight, and there were times that they did, the offense wasn't there to, you know, make up for that in any way whatsoever, and that's why they lost. That tweet by Kevo Bevo, fantastic. The margin for error was so short, so small with this offense. And when your defense isn't playing 100% healthy or just playing 100% in general, you got to have your offense step up. And they have failed to do that all season long.
Yeah, and every single loss you can point to the offense failing to execute when it came down to it. They've had opportunities to go on a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter several times this year, and they've just failed to do it. Philadelphia Eagles, the Denver Broncos, the Detroit Lions. Like, it just, the examples keep piling up. Play calling is still an issue too, especially that 2-point conversion attempt. God, that was awful. I don't know why you're running on a 2-point conversion, especially outside. But also, Isaiah Pacheco only had 1 carry in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs had the ball 3 different times in the fourth quarter, and they only needed a touchdown. And they went away from the run, even though Isaiah Pacheco looked fantastic tonight, outside of the horrific penalty that he decided to go out there and commit. And it got him kicked out of the game. And basically, it killed any hope of the Chiefs coming back to win in that game, because 15 yards, it's just unrecoverable for this offense.
Yeah. It just kind of seems like this Chiefs team is different than any Chiefs team we've seen in years prior, and not in a good way. And I don't want to predict playoff losses, but man, if this team played in the wild card round tomorrow, I would be sweating my ass off because I don't think this team is ready. I don't think they're good enough offensively. And with the injuries to this defense, man, they might be a wild card exit.
Oh yeah, I just against a team with a pulse, I just don't really trust them right now. They haven't really given me any reason to trust them. They're also 0-3 against teams from the NFC this year, and I think that's notable because if you have any sort of hopes of winning a Super Bowl this year, you're gonna have to beat a team from the NFC. Uh, they've lost to two of the top three teams in the NFC. They lost to the Packers tonight, and that's even if they make it to the Super Bowl, man. And I don't see it with this offense. Hope I'm wrong.
Nope. It sucks, man, because against the Philadelphia Eagles, who are a premier team in the NFC, granted, they did get the doors blown off of them today, but you were within a touchdown. So, like, that capability is there when your defense is playing good. It's just like offensively, man, they just don't have that spark. And I think that's going to be the reason for their demise.
Yeah, because it just feels like anytime they get stuck in a 3rd and long, or they're put in a situation where they need to push the ball downfield to win the game, they just can't do it. It doesn't feel fixable. And I've said it many times already. I don't see this wide receiver core breaking through. Like, we've had a big enough sample size to be able to make a determination that they're not good enough. Sky Moore, not good enough. MVS, not good enough. Rashee Rice, good, but shouldn't be your number one wide receiver. And even when he's doing good, this team seems to go away from him. So I don't get it. I've run out of things to say.
I was gonna say, Josh, we've been basically talking about this for the last 12 weeks. There's nothing really more to say. Like, improve or don't, and they haven't done it. So it's like I can't sit up here and say, you know what, guys, I think that next week's going to be the breakthrough. And even if it is, it's probably just a one-off. So it's like until we see consistent change, this team, this offense specifically, is not good enough to win a playoff game.
Yeah. I think this is the first time in a long time that I think I care about Mizzou football more this year than the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, I'm fully invested in Mizzou. We're going to an NY6 Bowl, Michael. We're playing Ohio State. Like, I'm pumped for that. I don't want to have to think about this team right now.
Yeah. I love Kansas football. So we didn't get a New Year's Six Bowl. We got the Guaranteed Rate Bowl in Phoenix.
Against UNLV.
Yeah, so
yeah.
But
and the head coach of UNLV is also Barry Odom, former Missouri head coach, who they fired before they hired Eli Drinkwitz, who's the current head coach. So that's interesting.
Yeah. And the Chiefs have always been my number one, but it seems like now that's starting to fade. And I honestly, I think it's just because I've lost so much faith in our wide receiver group. I think there's a couple guys. I know there's a couple guys on MU. There's definitely some guys on KU that could make an impact on this offense if given the chance.
Oh, yeah. Like Missouri, their wide receiver core. So a couple of videos ago, I had someone say that Sky Moore wouldn't even start for the Missouri Tigers.
Probably not, no. I would take Luther Burden over Sky Moore, bro.
Oh,
I would take him right now.
Absolutely. This would be a surefire Super Bowl contender, number one seed in the AFC with Luther Burden in this wide receiver room. Not even close.
I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to go that far, but I would rather have Luther Burden than Sky Moore.
I'm telling you, man. I mean, that's like going from a beat down Honda Civic to a freaking Corvette. Sky Moore to Luther Burden.
Man. It's so frustrating. Hopefully next week they turn it around, Josh. Hopefully next week.
I'm sure that's what they'll tell us, that they'll get it figured out.
Yeah, they already have.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that pretty much wraps this one up. We've said everything we've needed to say. It's the same stuff. We're becoming a broken record. So we'll go ahead and sign off, guys, but make sure you leave your comments and questions down below, even if you're watching this after the fact. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Some more Chiefs fans can find this. And then before we sign off, Michael, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube at KC Sports Report. check out the Bleacher Report post-game show on the Bleacher Report mobile app, and the social medias are at the Michael Darcy on both Instagram and Twitter.
There you have it. That'll all be down in the description, so make sure you check that out. You can check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com. We will see you all in the next one. Go Chiefs.